controversy is here to stay, man. What do you think? I love controversy. Can't live without the truth, eh?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to another special edition, of course, the controversy, where we face very important topics and we deliberate on it. And of course, I have my friend here, Trevor, with the audience.
Hey, good day to you. Good day to the audience. Thank you for inviting me again.
I did not invite you. You are here. You are one of this. You are the movement.
I'm humbled.
Thank you.
I'm humbled. So,
All right, our topic today is African spirituality, and we are looking to find exactly what is it that we believed in before we were infiltrated by this Christianity, that is. So our theologian, of course, will always guide us there and there when we're getting lost and find us so we can find ourselves. So briefly, guys, what is African spirituality?
okay, thank you for the welcome again. I mean, it's a difficult question to even answer. You know, it's one of those theses that are very difficult to deconstruct.
Mm.
And to go to your question, what is African spirituality? That question itself, in fact, it has a problem because of most scholars, they even believe, Wuti, there's nothing called African religion or African spirituality. And they are basing that fact because of, it's very difficult to follow the logic or even to reason if ever you think or you approach your question in a monotheistic state or using monothesis. It's difficult to think that in Africa there is one God. You see, so Africa itself, it is divided into number of parts. So Africa itself is very diverse. So therefore, it will be impossible and impractical, to suggest that we have one God or one spiritual guidance or supreme being who actually guides us or who is the light. In Africa again, it is, a lazy thinking even to suggest that there is something called African spirituality or African God, because that would simply mean that your God or your supreme being is only limited to Africa.
Mm.
You see, so the other nations as well, and the other people who believe in different faiths, surely will laugh at you to say you suggesting that your God is not transcontinental, is only limited to Africa. So that itself, Njemfethu, it makes it difficult to deal with the situation. And the second part, which is maybe which I should have started with, is the material to to work on the subject. It's very limited.
Oh, it was distorted.
Yes, it is distorted. And even if you may find that material, it's there, if maybe you have studied anthropology and sociology, you'd find that, even the material that it's there, it has been written by white, published by whites. Therefore, you'd find, Wuti, it is very difficult even to follow. Whatever that has been written there, because of it is Western driven. Thirdly, it's an issue, Yoguti. Whatever that we know, or whatever that I may talk about today, you know, most of the facts are oral based because of we never documented.
Because the story from adults telling the young ones.
Exactly. So therefore, it will be difficult for us to prove, the authenticity of it. So it's one of those, controversial topics we're dealing with in this podcast today. Yes.
So just before you continue, you're saying there is no African God. There's a God that is transcontinental. That's what you say.
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. That if ever, you were to believe in a supreme being, that supreme being should not be limited to Africa, or perhaps the terminology again. I think it will be the issue. In this regard. So I'm saying, if ever you tend now to believe in a supreme being, that supreme being, it will be very dangerous and malicious to suggest that that supreme being is limited to Africa.
As we are all human.
Yes. And I'm saying, every time we speak of African spirituality or African traditionality, we need to, do away with a singular form approach, but rather we need to focus more on the plural form of approach, because of the example of it would be in Egypt, which is far, not, and we are here in South Africa. These people, they believed in pharaohs. They mummified pharaohs. They were worshipping pharaohs as their gods. Now I'm talking, before the whites, came into the continent. So it will be very difficult to suggest that in South Africa, our Asian people knew about the pharaohs. The fact of the matter is that they did not know how to mummify the pharaohs, how to worship pharaohs. Same applies with Egyptians. It will be dangerous to suggest that, Egyptian people or Asian people in Egypt and in other countries in Africa knew about Umvelingani. Therefore, you cannot really say Umvelingani, he's the supreme being of all African people. You see, that's my approach, at least. And again, you can never suggest that what is happening in Western Africa, where they believe in a supreme God called Chuku or whoever, then you suggest that that God that they believed in is the supreme God of all African countries or of African people. Therefore, that's why I'm saying, we need to approach this, in a polytheistic way, understanding that, African people, they always believed in diversity. They all believed in different, powers, or supreme beings for that case. Yes.
So in appreciating our diversity thereof, so we cannot say that Christianity then is the umbrella now of every religion. As
You see now, yes, it's a very important point that you're making. But now Christianity itself, it's not an African religion. It's a religion. From somewhere. You get my point. So, and the approach of one particular God, or of monotheism that I was speaking about, it comes from the Abrahamic faith, suggesting that there is one God, one supreme God. And even the Islam, I understand, they will take that direction. But here in Africa, you'd find that, the different people there too, they worshipped, different things, or different beings. So that approach of one God, it's not ours.
All right. So what is ours? Let's now bring it back home now. What did you believe in before Christianity?
Okay. Well, like I said, Uguti, the evidence is oral based.
Mm,
But I mean, we may only check on the common patterns.
mhm,
The common patterns will suggest that different parts of Africa and African people, believed in ancestral worship.
mhm.
That's number one.
Muslims.
Yes, they believed, that they can intercede with the dead, or the dead can intercede with the living, or even, or even, assist, bringing good fortune or misfortune for that fact, if ever you were not honoring amadlos or the ancestors in a way that you're supposed to. So that is a common, practice in Africa.
Mm,
Yes, that's a common practice. And the other again practice you'd find ukuthi most of African people, before the prolifications of Christianity and Islam in South Africa, which in Africa per se, which took a center stage. I mean, most people now you'd find that in Africa they are Christians,
mm,
or they are Muslims. So before that, you'd find that at least we understood that there is a higher power,
mm,
or a supreme being. That's why I was making an example of Umvelngang,
mm,
an example of Nomkhumulwane, an example of what in Egypt. They worshipped their gods. They mummified gods and then put them into the caves, or what you know as pyramids, and they will
mm.
go and worship.
Worship. Right?
So that's one part, and then you can never say there is an ancestral worship,
Mm,
because of that it's a bit higher than the ancestors worship.
mm,
Okay, that's one part, and another part would be African people. They've always they've always understood that whatever that they have,
mm,
it comes from nature. So now you'd find that in the southern hemisphere of Africa, particularly the Nguni's,
mm,
bakholelwa kuNomkhumulwane. Nomkhumulwane is the god of fertile.
mm,
She was categorized, or let me put it this way, she is categorized,
mm,
or it is believed that she controls nature, she controls rain,
mm,
and then omama ukuthi bekhulelwe, and then the productivity nje, let me
mm.
just put it that way.
Continuation.
Continuation, yes,
Mm,
but all that relies on nature. And then you would go to as far as in Ethiopia,
mm,
because of it is very important that when we speak about African religion or African spirituality, there are two countries which really are the point of focus. That
mm,
would be, your Egypt and Ethiopia. So you'd go to Ethiopia, and then you'd understand that, I mean, Malek, or Queen of Sheba, before, she introduced, the Jewish religion in Ethiopia. She believed in worshiping the moon.
mm,
So that itself, it will tell you that other parts of Africa and African people will worship maybe the sun.
mm,
Some will worship the stars. Some will worship I mean, they will have what we call the Queen of Rain and all that. So that that shows, I mean, the diversity of religions or of worships in Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
Just before we indulge much on Nomkhumulwane.
Yes.
All right. Christianity, I believe, was emphasizing more on taking away that issues or cause issues or to believe in the ancestors. So, what do you think maybe was the coloration thereof between us before we believing in Amados and now the Christianity is saying, no, leave this. Now we're going with this.
Yeah, you see, I mean, any Western approach is based on evidence. You need to bring evidence that, I mean, the dead can really intercede or have an influence to the living.
Mm.
So that's the approach, at least that I mean, Christianity. At least highlighted or gave us that perspective. Ukuthi, okay, fair enough, guys. You believe ukuthi, you guys, you can intercede, you can speak to the dead. Prove it to us.
But can they prove though with Jesus Christ is alive?
That is not important. What is important is you need to prove.
Oh, we must prove.
Yeah,
They
we
got
must prove.
nothing to
Yeah, of course. But they, because of, remember, these people when they came to our shores, firstly, they thought ukuthi we did not believe in anything, that we did not know about supreme being, we did not know, or we did not believe ukuthi there is a supreme being, because of obviously, I mean, they equated us, I mean, to animals.
Mm.
So therefore, you cannot really say that animals believe in God or in a supreme being. But afterwards, they started believing, they started noticing certain practices, and then they said, okay, fair enough. These people, I mean, they believe, I mean, kunomkhumulwana, these people, they believe in nature, and for them, obviously, to be able to control us,
Mm.
they needed to have a strategy that will detach us from any supreme power so that we become weak for them to be able now to control us. At least that is my logic.
Mm. So they have to take away what we
Definitely,
believe in
because of,
order to.
yes, definitely because of I mean, there's no way that we would have accepted, I mean, their belief. Uh, 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 I mean, doing away with our own ways of doing things.
Mm.
So surely, I mean, they had to like detach us completely from what we believed in.
Mm. Okay.
Yes,
All right. Going back to Unomkhumulwane. No, am I calling it right?
yes, yes,
Nomkhumulwane.
yes. You're calling.
All
Thana
right.
nje inkosazana.
Inkosazana.
Yes.
So do we perhaps have image Nkosazana or
Well,
something?
into engiyaziyo ukuthi she's the daughter of Umvelngqangi.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, uh, she is portrayed as inkosazane yamanzi, you know. Maybe abanye basebenzisa the term yama-mermaids and all that, but she is portrayed as inkosazane yamanzi. And we believed ukuthi ngesikhathi sesivuno, ngesikhathi besikade kuyiwa kuyena, kuyocelwa kuye imvula, kuyobongwa kuye isivuno, so, and again, it is very important to state that not all South African people, particularly the Zulus,
Mm-hmm.
those were people who were, I mean, worshipping and following this practice.
Mm.
So that itself, it would show the diversity of what we are talking about.
Mm.
Yes,
All right. As it is Africa Month,
yes,
so we will be focusing more on African stories, African paradigm, And
Yes.
today, the show is about African spirituality.
Yes.
And right now, we just want to the correlation thereof between our ancestors and the living. Is there a correlation? Is there a connection
I
between
don't know.
God or
I don't know.
Ubalingani,
I don't
amadlozi,
know.
and us the living? What is the hierarchy thereof in Africa?
No, I think that I may disappoint most of people because I'm I believe I mean in Africanism,
Mm,
but that does not mean ukuthi we need to believe I mean fairy tale stories
mm,
because of come to think of it, the belief is that there is God,
mm,
right?
mm.
Or let me just please allow me to use there is supreme being.
You don't like to use that word.
There is
Okay,
supreme being.
supreme thing. We'll go
Yes,
with supreme
yes.
thing.
There
Okay.
is supreme being of yes, and therefore he will communicate, with the dead,
Mhm.
you know, which is Amadlos now. And then Amadlos will communicate with
That.
you. Or vice versa, whether you will communicate edlozini ucele okucelayo, then idlozi liyokucelela kuNkulunkulu, which again to me it's nonsense. Let me put it that way.
You don't believe it.
No, it's nonsense. Mina, I think not that I believe
Your
in it.
perception of
Yes,
them.
Mina, I think ukuthi um, there are certain things
Mm.
that you can ask from the ancestors. I mean, indigenous people were very smart. They understood ukuthi if they go to Nomkhumulwane, they go not going to ask cars or whatever. They're going to ask for rain. They're going to ask for fertile soil so that they can
God.
exactly so that they can be productivity. So I just think ukuthi again kufuneka ukuthi ngabe I mean ukhetha okukodwa, because we're having a problem here in South Africa in particular, even in Africa, and that itself it's ridiculous, and I don't understanding that most of African people are serving two gods, two masters, three masters. You find ukuthi hayi lethi idlozi wena nguye nedlozi nembuzi ziyasha, hayi ngesunday uphethe ibhayibheli uyesontweni ukhuluma ngoNkulunkulu uJesu Kristu. To me that is confusion.
All right. So, what is the state of religion today? The current situation now. What do you think is the status quo thereof?
You mean the African religion?
African spirituality.
Okay, African
What
spirituality.
is the status?
Yo, Fetu, it's bad.
Mm.
And let me focus really on two things. One, from the 1900s until now, most of people converted to Christianity and into Islam.
Oh, they are running away from
Yes,
Christianity, but lost again to another.
Yes, they converted to Christianity, they converted to Islam. So you'd find that it is estimated that over 40% of African people, even more, they don't believe in African spirituality, but they have adopted the Western uh, ideas.
And what are the causes thereof?
I mean, one, it will be Uguti, that itself was the other religions were forced. Yes. I mean, you had no choice because of even here in South Africa, you wouldn't just wake up and decide to slaughter or to perform, I mean, your rituals or even to worship your God during the time of white settlers in power. And they even donated clothes, but these Western clothes. I mean, you remember these people, they opened missionaries and all that. So they opened, missionaries and they donated clothes these Western clothes, and you would only find these clothes, in the churches when they open churches, and then they took, kids to school. They gave them Christian names. They baptized them in Christian faith, and so you'd find ukuthi those are the reasons. And again, the other reason, because of I don't want to sound like ANC politician blaming everything to the past. Again, it was the matter of choice. People, they would, I mean, pinpoint the loopholes on African indigenous, beliefs. And you'd find ukuthi, really, how do you believe ukuthi one can intercede with the dead? And some will believe ukuthi ayikho yonke lento le, because of, again, like I'm saying, ukuthi the problem of African spirituality or tradition or religion, which it's not documented. If perhaps we had a Torah, a Bible, or a Quran, these are holy books, which at least are documented and are used, as the reference for those faiths, But when it comes to African religion, we do not have, our holy book or anything that we can go and point reference what we are talking about. So people, they decided to migrate, even more to other religions.
Also, they left what they don't understand.
Yeah, and which makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. If ever you are an African now, you are found believing in Western now religion.
Okay, but again, you believe in an African religion, right? And then you need to convince me to join, or at least you need to make me understand ukuthi, lento le isebenza kanjani.
So when you're encouraging people to get lost,
who's encouraging people to get lost?
You are saying
I'm stating facts here.
You are saying the Western religion or understanding has got facts as is documented. Thereof, people can go there, while they are Africans and their beliefs is not documented, so it is nullified.
Well, I'm not basing my point on the matter of documentation. This one has been documented because of, obviously, we did not have capacity to write. Yes, to write. And I understand that even in other African countries, at least, there were instances where the religion and the way of living, ancient people, were documented. But again, the language that was used, no one can decipher the language into modern language. Yes, remember, we were using pictures, we were using drawings, we were using, so the language itself, it became a problem to say they can't decipher, at least into a modern language, so that we can understand what ancient people believed in this and that. That's one. And number two would be the issue that even if, there were, documents that suggested otherwise, that were written, about our history and African history. The documents were taken by whites. So therefore, I'm not suggesting that because of we do not have a book, but I'm saying the belief itself, it's the reason that it's orally based. You'd find that it changes from time to time. Myself, we practice this belief. At some point, nathi sinophikisana ukuthi hayi bekumele ngabe wenze nje, bekumele ngabe uqale wayihlaba le nkomo wamlanda. Because of we don't know. At least if we now saying ukuthi there must be teachers and leaders who are going to teach us, you know, I mean, the way of doing things in an African way, you know. And I'm saying to you, to go back to your question that you have asked, Uguti, what is the status quo of African religion?
Mm.
And I said to you, it is dire because of we're living into a secular state.
Mm.
You know, we celebrating Christmas, we celebrating Easter. I mean holidays. I mean, but can you tell me? I mean, any holidays that we are celebrating, which
As
are
African.
as Africans?
Because even the African month is not
No,
really
no, no one is
interfaced as
talking
much.
about it. No one is talking about. There will be, I mean, some. They will at least they will play African music. They will
Mm.
do this and that. But you'd find Uguti at this point in time, we should be getting people like Umkhulu Ntsingeza. We should be getting abantu abafana umam Nomdende. Those are fountains, of knowledge
Mm.
in an African context. They understand these things. They can explain it far better than me. So that these people they can school us, they can teach us. I mean, no, kahle kahle silahlela. But what we're supposed to do now ukuthi sibuyele emasikweni, we need to understand ukuthi thina sikhonza umvelinqange, thina we respect nature. For me again, like I said to you on previous shows ukuthi to me it makes an absolute sense ukuthi we need to respect nature
Mm.
because of yonke into ekhona iqhamuka endalweni.
Mm.
Yonke into ekhona siyinikwe yindalo, therefore indalo ekuqaleni, abantu bakuqala bebekholelwa kakhulu kuyona, ekuthenini iyona abayikhonzayo ngoba yiyo ebanika yonke into.
All right. Usa, while we're talking about our last shows, one of our free thinkers here asked, where are we going with this show? And just to uh, find the correlations thereof between these shows, the first show, which was based on God, who's God,
Yes. Yes.
and it got most views, of course. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting. You can still go back there and find really what is God or who is God. So there is a certain topic or an umbrella under all these
Mm,
topics, which is based on colonization and land.
mm.
Even today, it is about African spirituality, which was now replaced with
Yes, yes,
Christianity.
yes, yes. But
Mm.
yes, but again, Faith, we mustn't shy away from the fact that yes, it was replaced,
Mm.
but itself it had loopholes,
It
But
was our loophole.
it's fine. I
Yes.
take that.
Yeah,
I
so
take
they
that.
shouldn't entertain
Okay.
our
Okay.
loopholes.
We
It's
but
for us to resolve. We will resolve in due time, of course.
okay.
And the next show was after African Gods, it was marriage, right?
Yes.
Which is still, we found that it is linked again to land, where a person will be married and will have to find land.
True.
So through that process, you'll have to go make loans and
Yes.
to get that land. So there's this correlations in between these shows.
Yeah. What we are trying to do, Vetu,
Mm.
I always say to my students or to whoever that I speak to,
Mm.
it is time that we emancipate, I mean, an African child from the chains of thinking Uguti, everything good, everything that is happening to his, to her life comes from the West.
Mm, So we can think for ourselves.
Yes, I'm in a journey of trying to really emancipating ourselves and bring understanding that we had life before whites
Mm.
came into Africa. We had our way of doing things. We believed in a supreme God, one way or another. We believed in plural gods in Africa. We had our own way of believing. and it worked.
Yeah.
So I'm just stating facts, and I'm here again today, not really to push or even to promote, I mean, African religion per se, because of I'm not qualified to do so. I think there are other African theologians who can maybe come to the show and do justice at least. But I'm just stating, Uguti, I mean, the problem, Uguti, most of our people now, they've migrated to other religions. These are the problems that we are facing, and that's I guess that's the core of the show, to deal with doing away with Western ideology.
Yes, so we are indeed dealing away with the way we think and the things that we think are right, but yet to find that they are not really the truth and the honest truth. All right, now looking into the current topic now, moving forward into the future, is there any way for us to maybe document this, maybe find the truth in this connection between our ancestors and the chronology thereof, and find what is it that we need to ask from who and how, and maybe even go and see. I heard about DJ Sbu went to Pumalanga and
Yes, inzalo yelanga.
to go to Inzaloyanga and see what we can pick
Yeah, we're
from
going to
what we
we
get.
going we can, Puti, we can. And like, thanks for mentioning it. I mean, yes, at least I know of Umkhulu Nsingiza. I know of Umama Professor Nokzola Mdende. I mean those people, I think they have I mean institutions
Mm.
that it's trying to preserve what we have, and teaching, I mean us ukuthi sikholelwa kuphi nokuthi sasikholelwa. But again, i-government yethu, 1993, they introduced something that is called ATR, African traditional religion, where that's a body that I mean is looking out on these issues of African spirituality. I mean the ceremonies. I mean zonke izinto, the rituals and all that. But again, it's not taking the center stage, because this thing, remember, it has to work, or it has to function, I mean, in a secular state, whereby the state itself, it's very much aligned into the Christian way of doing things. So the system itself, it makes it difficult for these institutions, for African scholars, to ventilate, I mean, their opinion and share their knowledge with us, because of the system itself. No one knows Uguti, when do we celebrate. At least I know Uguti, the month of March. I mean, most of I mean, we celebrate unomkhumulwana, we do ceremonies. But again, Leo process, it's only started in 1995. Remember, only 1995 that now iqala ke manje le migubho i-celebrate. So that's the problem, ukuthi I mean, the government, it may really give us the platform to say, okay, speak about this thing. I mean, open your commissions, open your institutions, teach your people. Yet, born, they are so much aligned into the a Christian way of doing things. Like I said to you, Uguti, we celebrating Christmas, we celebrating, which is a Christian holiday. We celebrating, I mean, holy, what you call, I mean, Easter holidays and all that,
All is Christianity.
Yes. So you'd find Uguti, even yeah. So let me just put it that way.
I took note that most of people now no longer celebrate Christmas like they used to. It is now some day, like any other days. Just a matter of now getting it removed.
It's because of economical challenges.
You think so?
There's no, yeah, it's because of economical challenges, and yes, there are people like really in my family, at least, ney'ngane zami, angizithengeli iy'mpahla zikakhisimusi. There's no, I mean, special, celebration about Christmas. At least I'm trying to do away with this notion,
I
Christmas.
think we must teach this young to say now. We cannot be now transferring this to them now to say there's Christmas.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
not-
but the most important thing, Uguti, if you're really, you are not, preaching that gospel.
Mm.
I mean, iy'ngane zakho uzirefera kuphi?
Yeah, I think the game must be changed completely.
No, it's fine.
Family day.
I'm not talking about Christmas now. I'm saying we trying by all means to say, okay, guys, let's do away with Christianity, and it's fine. I agree to it. But then, do you have, a, a proper functional, African religion that you may say, this is our way of doing things, guys? So that question, it's there.
All right. Do we need it though? Do we need churches to as Africans? Did we have churches?
It doesn't have to be a church, wait. It doesn't have to be a church, but it has to be an institution of understanding ukuthi ukuhlaba yini, ukuthi uma ukhonza idlozi wenzani, likhonzwa kanjani idlozi, ukuthi yini ithonga, exactly. Those are things which, again, those things cannot happen, in churches. They can, leyo nto leyo ingenzeka, emndenini wakho, in your own house, in your own family. But the question is, do we have people or even bodies that can really give us, very informative, approach on the matter? So that is my question. Ukuthi, it's fine. You're saying you are doing away with this thing. It's fine. I agree. What do you replace it with?
All right. I think it's up
And
to
for
you, theologians, to come up with
I'm not an African theologian, unfortunately.
So what did you measure?
No, Africa. No, Skyla.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, free thinkers, for doing the show and liking us, making us head. It's very important that we create something of our own self.
True.
And we no longer rely on other people to think for us, but we are humans, we can think for ourselves. So let us think for ourselves and moving forward. So just last comment of an advice to us, to our viewers out there concerning the topic of
Fetu. What I may say is, there are a number of people, who are so much aligned to Islam, to Christianity, and there's no problem about it. But I want them to sit down and think, ukuthi, would it be fair to say, before Christianity and other religions, of course, were introduced to us, we had no form of belief, that we had no faith, that we did not know God, that we did not, worship any supreme being. So that's the question that I'm leaving out there.
Yeah, he's leaving us with the question, guys. So we must ponder on it. And we will be engaging on our social medias, of course. TikTok, you can ask your questions there. and send some WhatsApp voice notes. We will just provide a WhatsApp number there to try and now communicate communicate with the audience, of course.
Yes.
And I'm sure we can be able to answer some of the questions.
Thank you. Thank you. We will.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Peace.
Love controls. Can't live without the truth, eh?